In every lifetime, there comes a moment when the old no longer fits, when the story you've lived begins to unravel, when the ground beneath your feet cracks open, and the only way forward is through the fire. This is not the end. This is the beginning. But first, something must die. Welcome to the cycle. Death as transformation, the first step toward becoming who you truly are. Imagine this. You wake up one morning, but something is different. The world hasn't changed. You have. You look around and nothing feels real. The colors are muted. The air feels heavy. You feel it deep in your bones. Something inside you has died. What if that death wasn't something to fear? What if the thing dying wasn't your life, but your illusion? Most people think of death as the end, a wall, a void, a black curtain that falls and ends the show. But what if it's not the end? What if death is a doorway, a sacred passage into something greater than you can comprehend? In nearly every spiritual tradition, death is not the enemy, it is the beginning. The Buddhists speak of ego death, the mystics speak of the dark night of the soul. Even nature, in her silent wisdom, sheds her leaves each winter, not to die, but to prepare for renewal. So let me ask you, what are you clinging to that must die? What illusions, identities, stories have you mistaken for life itself? The fear we hold around death, whether physical, emotional, or symbolic, is not fear of the unknown. It's fear of losing control. But transformation begins where control ends. And the truth, nothing real can die. Only illusions do. Carl Jung once wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." And this is where the true death lies. Not in the body, but in the soul's unwillingness to evolve. The ego fears death, but the soul craves it because it knows that only through death can rebirth begin. Let's go deeper. What if the you that suffers isn't really you? What if the part of you that's terrified, anxious, clinging to old stories, what if that part is the mask, and death is the ritual of removing it? Across cultures, death rituals aren't just about grieving, they are initiations. In the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the soul must pass through trials. In Hindu philosophy, Shiva, the destroyer, is not evil. He is necessary. Destruction makes space for creation. There is no lotus without the mud, no phoenix without the fire. Even in psychology, we see this mirrored. Jung called it individuation, the process of confronting your shadow, your hidden self, and integrating it. But that confrontation feels like death. The death of your identity, the death of who you thought you were. Why? Because transformation doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in the dissolution of the familiar. Think about your life. The heartbreaks, the failures, the losses. Weren't those the moments that cracked you open? Didn't something deeper emerge from the ashes? Death is not against you. It's for you. It is your most honest teacher. But most people run from it, and in doing so, they run from their own becoming. We spend our lives avoiding endings. The end of a relationship, the end of a job, the end of who we used to be. We numb it with distractions, scroll past it. We busy ourselves with productivity. Pretend we've moved on, but beneath the surface, we are grieving. Grieving the old self, grieving the masks we can no longer wear, grieving the false life we constructed, and the deeper truth: you can't be reborn until you die while still alive. In ancient mystery schools, initiates underwent symbolic death. They were buried, sealed in tombs, sent into caves, not to die, but to confront the truth of who they are without their titles, their names, their pasts. Can you sit with your own ending long enough to see what remains? This is the tension. We are terrified of being nothing, but it's only from that place of nothingness that the authentic self can emerge. There is a truth waiting in the silence, but silence requires the death of noise. Look around. Society glorifies birth, celebrates success, and obsesses over growth. But no one teaches us how to die, to let go, to grieve, to surrender. So we resist. But in that resistance, we suffer more than the death itself. What if death is not the opposite of life, but its companion? They walk side by side, one dissolving the old, so the other can arise. And here's the breakthrough. The part of you that fears death is the part that must die. When you stop resisting your own transformation, you awaken something ancient, something sacred. You begin to see that every ending you once feared was actually an invitation. The heartbreak that shattered you. It stripped you of illusion. The loss that broke you open. It created space for truth. You did not break. You unraveled so your soul could breathe. This is the paradox. The more you cling, the more you decay. The more you surrender, the more you transform. Letting go is not weakness, it's alchemy. True rebirth isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. And that remembering requires forgetting. Forgetting the lies, forgetting the false self, forgetting the story that says you are not enough. Because the soul is not afraid to die. It's afraid of living a life that isn't real. Death is not the enemy. It is the beginning of truth. Now you understand, death is not darkness. It's a womb, a sacred void from which new life can emerge. When you stop fearing the death of who you were, you make room for who you were meant to become. So ask yourself, what must die for you to truly live? What illusions are you ready to burn? What truth is waiting behind your letting go? This is your invitation. Let the old self fall away. Let the masks dissolve. Let the false stories crumble. Because on the other side of that death is liberation. You are not your titles, not your trauma, not your past. You are the space that remains when all else is stripped away. You are the fire that survives the ashes. You are the soul, awakening. The next time something in your life ends, don't run. Pause, breathe, and ask, what am I being asked to release so I can be reborn? Because this is the first step, not to the end, but to your return. Every death leaves behind a seed, and within that seed, a new life waits. You are not here to stay the same. You are here to shed, to break, to transform. You are here to die and be reborn. The pain, the loss, the letting go, they were never punishments. They were passages. And now, you've crossed one. So the question is, who will you become now that the old you is gone? If this journey moved you, subscribe to Awaken Deeper Truths. Comment below, what must die within you? Like and share if you're walking this path too.